that done? Is that card no, he's running up on 20 minutes. Give it a second. I mean, I'm still throwing the fish. Welcome everybody to Week 11. I am really excited about tonight's talk. We are just about rounding the corner, and tonight's session is dedicated to all the hustlers, all the corner boys, everybody trying to make some money, trying to get their go. From the building, hustling. From the building, hustling, trying to get their go. But nah, seriously. We talked over the last 3 months. We talked a lot about growing food and growing community. I came into this work with my mind on, impacting, access to healthy food, and along the way we realized there was pieces of the puzzle that I wasn't really considering, or wasn't as heavily considering. I chalk it up to being young and idealistic and just, not really thoroughly planning, but just doing the thing. But as I did the thing, I realized I needed some money. Great ideas go far without it, but they go even further when you figure out how to generate currency. And so tonight I'm going to talk about how to make money on the farm, and I'm going to talk about some key ways that you can do that. But I don't want you to get blinded by this idea that money is the end all be all for this thing, right? The way I look at money in this work, it's an energy, right? Like they say, we call it a currency. It's an energy current that, charges up different aspects of what we have going on. Never come to this. I try very hard to come to this work with a spirit of abundance and a spirit of like everything that I need is going to be there, right? Because of my trauma, coming up in the city, coming up in a household that never really had money, coming up in a household that it wasn't really a conversation. I have my own detoxing that I'm doing when it comes to, financial stuff. And when I say financial stuff, it's really about I'm trying to shed myself of this idea that I don't have enough. And I'm saying that and I'm being candid with you all because this shit is hard. Especially when you always kind of lived in a situation where it's like a worry. How I'm going to So, me approaching this work, I had to get rid of that thought, or those thoughts, those fears that are connected to money, and embrace the reality that there's more than enough money and currency around for me to do any and everything that I want to do. And when I started really leaning into that, the reality showed up that yes, the money is there. It's just about whether or not you have a plan and discipline in order to allocate it appropriately and make sure that, it does what it needs to do. It's a tool. So that's part of my kind of introduction to this. The second part is that some of us come to this work about the idea of feeding community. And when we come to this idea of feeding community, the idea of food, like everyone has a right to it, right, is seated. And that's a floor. Everyone does have a right to food. What is challenging is that because of just the way our food system works, it prioritizes big corporate entities that grow food in abundance and throw it away. Farmers, small-scale farmers, are often undervalued. It's a challenge for people to even look at farming as a vocation, right? And that, for many people, it's not just about feeding their family, like literally the food they grow feeds their family, but also like the other things that they need come from them selling food. You know what I mean? And so when we come to the food, because we are divorced from the farming as a vocation, we don't look at the food as having value in the way of someone took the time to make sure that that food was nutritionally dense, was presentable, was watered, and was harvested, and was packaged, and then presented to you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm also highly invested in getting people to understand the value of the work that goes into growing food. Because of the system, the price point on what zucchini costs is not capturing the amount of labor that went into the growing of it. You know what I'm saying? And we're seeing that in this moment right now with the immigration issues and how many of our Latinx and indigenous community members are like, fuck that. We're not going out here. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to affect the price of food. Because somebody has been harvesting, somebody has been growing, somebody has been hitting these fields. And for us, we're not aware of the exploitation that happens in that practice, right? People on H-1 and H-2 visas who work on farms are not paid anywhere near what their value is to feeding us. This is another form of exploitation, okay? So that part, the two parts, getting rid of this poverty mindset, and then two, recognizing the value of farming and the value of the produce that is grown. That's my three contexts for today. All right? As we go along, feel free to interrupt. This is an open dialogue. I'm hoping that I can get through everything. There's a lot to cover, but I want to open up this floor so that people have any questions or thoughts about what we'll share. We can get it. All right. So, how do you make money on the farm? First question you gotta ask yourself: what is my mission? And what are my goals? What am I trying to accomplish here? Right? Some of us are coming to the space. You want to, grow food for your community. I've heard folks that want to educate in their community. I've heard people that want to do healing work, medicinal herbs and things like that. So clearly articulating what
it is you're trying to do is step one. After you got that in mind, you got to figure out how much money is it going to take for me to do this thing, right? And when I asked that question, when I first started, I did not calculate what it cost me to be in the space. Okay? You know what I mean? Like my time and labor as an individual doing the farming and growing the things has a value, right? What is that number for me, right? And now, in the front end, you might, say, okay, well, in order for me to do this full time, what is it do I make? What is it that I make now on the job that would allow me to be in my garden every day, right? Whatever that number is. If that number is what pays your rent, electricity, car note, insurance, all this shit, what's that number? And then you start back into, okay, what is it that I need to scaffold into my business that's going to allow me to make that number, okay? So how much money are you trying to make? That's the first question. The second question is a little bit harder. Who is your customer? Okay? So, everybody loves this word called community, right? It's some of the, I feel like I get into these community spaces, these social justice nonprofit spaces, and everybody loves the word community. But for me, I had to recognize that everybody in the community, if I'm trying to sell to everybody, I'm gonna have a real difficult time selling to anybody because I'm not targeting a specific audience. Who is your customer? Who are you trying to reach? And that goes back to what your mission and goals are, right? Clearly identifying your audiences is what will allow you to really generate the revenue. We'll talk about the ways, that customer base may segment, but just on the front end, I'll say, all my neighbors are not my community. That was a hard pill to swallow. You know what I'm saying? Just because we live in proximity to each other, like you could live next door, but that doesn't mean that you consider yourself to even be a part of my we. You know what I mean? So what I try to do is back out. It's like, okay, well, who am I? What communities do I consider myself a part of beyond my geographic location? You know what I'm saying? I'm a black man. I'm a father. I spend time in social justice spaces. I have a family with young children. You know what I mean? I radiate outward to these different communities that I'm a part of, knowing that if you're in these communities with me, then I'm definitely trying to sell to you, right? Then, as a farmer, I'm thinking about, okay, well, what am I growing? Those things that I'm growing also have overlap with different communities as well, right? I could be growing hot peppers, right? Specifically, I was astonished the day that the librarian brother showed up at the farm and wanted to have all of the ghost peppers. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I was also surprised when we grew marigolds just as a companion plant, and there was a Latinx community showed up that said, and had bags, and was like, yo, I want the marigolds, right? And then called their cousins and other friends and family members and sent them over to the farm as well. So just off of me having hot peppers and marigolds, it opened up two communities for me that I wasn't even imagining that I'm going to be selling to. You know what I mean? So who is your customer? That's defined by not only the products that you grow, but some of the other things that you're doing on the farm. So for produce, when we're doing our farming, there's a lot of things that you can grow. Tons of shit, man. And work out a seed catalog today, and you can have a field day thinking about all of the things that are possible for you to grow. Literally 50, 60, 70 pages with 30 items per page on what you can grow. So I break it into 3 different tiers so that I can wrap my brain around my seasons. Okay? The first thing I put in there is quick crops. These are things that'll grow within. Hey, what's going on with you, man? All right. Marcus,
I got the notice made.
who you here to see?
I mean, no, I ain't even know what this is. Like, I'm just here. Like, for real.
I haven't seen it. If you just here, yeah, we're talking about farming, brother.
Okay, yeah, well, I take that in.
So we do. I break it into 3 categories. For quick crops are all things that I can grow within 30 to 45 days. Okay, this is important. Lettuce, salad greens, radishes, any types of greens that I can grow will be considered quick crops. So when I say quick crop, that means that from seed to harvest, this thing ain't gonna take no more than 45 days at the max. Okay? Now, why would I put quick crops in this mix? Because I, as a farmer, I'm trying to keep revenue generating on the farm. Right? I want to always have stuff that I can be picking and I can be selling. So, in the spring, when stuff first starts opening up, it's going to take time for my other stuff to grow, right? So, if I got lettuces, if I got salad greens, if I got arugula, if I got radishes, those are all things that are going to take a month at the minimum, a month and a half at the max for me to get in the ground, harvest, and then sell. Alright? All the while, I got slower crops that I can be growing. This is things like cabbage. Right? Cabbage, 60 days to 90 in some instances. Right? Carrots, at least 90 days, 75 to 90 days. Onions, another 90-day crop. Garlic, 90 days, but it could take longer. Right? Those are slower crops. They, I want to have that in the mix too, but I'm going to balance that based on the amount of space that I have. And the last category that I got up here is high value crops. These are my peppers, my tomatoes, my eggplant, my zucchinis, my cucumbers, my watermelons. All of that stuff is going to take a little longer, but I can charge a little bit more for that. Because all of those are that's what people want, the popular things, right? Breaking it down like this in my head allows me to do my farm plan. We had that whole section where we talked about planning your farm. At the time of the season, I break out my seed catalog and I'm like, all right, what types of lettuce do I want to grow this year? What types of carrots do I want to grow? What types of onions do I want to grow? Then I think about, okay, well, I know I'm growing peppers and eggplant. But what types of peppers and eggplant am I going to grow this year? Those are unique conversations. In the sense of, I can go to the grocery store now and you get the black beauty eggplant. It's the most popular one, right? But there's so many other varieties of eggplant. There's Asian eggplant, there's African eggplant, there's skinny eggplant, there's white and lavender eggplant, there's, you know what I mean?
different types of varieties, different tastes, different tastes, and different textures. So me selecting that is also me thinking about the communities and the customers that I want to serve, right? Same thing when it goes on our peppers. I never forget the first time we ever did peppers. I had all types of hot peppers, nothing but hot peppers. I'm talking like ghost peppers, the Trinidad scorpions, the Carolina reapers, the cayennes, the jalapenos. I mean, I'm talking. I was burning like I was looking for the ones with the highest Scoville units and all that, right? But then I went to market, and my people that I'm selling to was like, damn. Like, last week you gave me a bag of peppers. I'm still working on those. I can't do that with with the hot 4 weeks in a row. There's only so much hot sauce I can make. You know what I mean? So later I was like, okay, well let me back down. Go ahead. What's up?
So that brings me to my question. Once you identify your target audience, how do you actually figure out what they want? You just like, how do you do that research there? Like,
A lot of times it's conversations to be had. For us, we have a capture audience. I'll talk about that in a bit. In terms of a capture audience, I have a group of people that I'm selling produce to that have subscriptions to my program. So that feedback is letting me know, okay, well, yeah, you gave me a little bit too much of that this season, back it out, maybe you want to refine what you're doing next time around. Same thing if you're talking to restaurateurs or contract growers or people that you would have a contract going with. This is an open conversation.
like, hey, what would you buy? What would you buy the most?
What are you already purchasing?
Yeah, okay.
Like what's my question, the way I come around to it is I ask people, what is it that you're looking for the most,
Yeah.
right? And if you're already looking for that, what's your price point?
Okay, so time to.
It's just a simple conversation. So yeah, this season or subsequent seasons since, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to back off of the hots. I'm gonna do banana peppers, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna throw in more bell peppers, you know what I'm saying? More sweet peppers, more spice peppers, and less like super hot blow your tongue off. But mapping that out ahead of time is it's a calculation too. We'll talk about that in a second. All right. So how do we distribute our produce? When I first started doing this work, I was an aggregator of produce, meaning I was the middleman. I bought produce from the farmers, I showed up on the block with it, and I sold that to the community. I learned a lot in that process, right? It's about, okay, well, what is it that people want? What's most popular? What in my community, in the hood, formerly red line neighborhoods, is the most, like, what are people gonna buy, right? I did that from 2008 to present, right? Just working with the farmer, selling their produce, like buying their produce wholesale and retailing it at the pop-up farmers market. What I learned from the farmers is that it's smarter to sell the produce before you harvest it than harvesting it and showing up and hoping someone buys it. Okay? That little shift made a world of difference in how I approach our distribution of produce and how we sell as an organization. I already know. Yeah, I already have the money from you. You know what I'm saying? So what we did when we first started was we didn't call it the Black Farmers CSA. We just called it, the original name was the Richmond that was the energy that we hit the ground with. And you would get 20 pounds for sure, but it would be an assortment of items. You know, some greens, some potatoes, some cabbage, maybe some eggplant tomatoes, you know what I'm saying? And I did that in the beginning with no refrigeration. Just straight showing up. I got the produce the day before, and on the day of, this is, you know, we divvy it up, and then you come pick it up. That worked. I did that for at least 5-6 years. Well, 2008 to 2006, 2014, before I got a refrigerator. You know what I mean? So in that process is like this learning of how to make the flip.
Then you take EBT also.
We took EBT. We took EBT. We took credit card and took cash. What helped me in that moment is I worked at social services. So I was a food stamp guy, and as people would get their EBT, I'm like, yo, come through to the farmers market, and you get more bang for your buck.
So you mentioned something I've been thinking about. You were working a full-time job while also making the income from
Exactly. When I first started doing this food work, I did have a gig. I had a job, and I would be perfectly candid with y'all. For the entire life of Family Natural Day, the 22 years that I've been doing this work, I had a job up until 2020. So the last 5 years of me doing work, I had another job, you know what I mean? And I did this too. What was, this is a tangent, but just to explain, my first job of doing agricultural work was in 2014. I got that job at Virginia State University. And then that was when the cubicle, I tell people I got kicked off the plantation in 2014. And I started working for black people at Virginia State in 2014. That job paid me, Jalil will tell you, I was getting paid the most money I ever got paid when I worked there, right? And then turned around, got the gig at Lewis Answer, right? And worked for them for 4.5 years and got fired when COVID hit, right? And so when COVID hit, that's when we turned Happily Natural Day into a nonprofit. And I used all of the shit that I learned working for Virginia State and working for Lewis Answer and working in these social justice nonprofit spaces to iterate our own organization. You know what I mean? So yeah, just full disclaimer, I didn't jump off the porch and say I'm on a farm and didn't have, you know what I'm saying? The experience. So with the working with the farmers though, I had to. I couldn't even get off. I couldn't get the farmer to show up unless I had at least $200. So I had to pay the farmer. I had about $200 worth of produce in order for him to come for me to select from what I would purchase to put in the CSA. So it wasn't like, I didn't have donors or anything like that when we first started doing the Noir Market. It was all revenue, people, customers coming, purchasing these shares, and then I show up with the produce, okay? Because I started like that, when I started farming and growing things, I was always thinking like, okay, yeah, I gotta figure out how to sell this, how to grow to sell. You know what I mean? Not necessarily grow to give away. Today, we iterate that same pop-up farmers market energy in what we call the Black Farmers CSA. All right. The idea of the CSA as a whole is CSA is shorthand for community supported agriculture. I'm sure you've seen CSAs sold by farmers. You know, you pay $800, anywhere from $500 to $800 on the front of the season, right? For them to then deliver or you to pick up a share for X amount of weeks, 16 to maybe 30 something weeks, depending on when they start their CSA. I quickly realized that was a CSA share. So what we decided to do was create a hybrid model where you could subscribe to the farm and get a month's worth, week to week. You get a weekly delivery, or bi-weekly, or for the entire season. Right? This put less pressure on people having to pay, this big amount on the front, but it also made it accessible for people who, wanted to just maybe get 2 weeks worth of produce. Right? They just want to try it out. Never done nothing like this before. See how much this our packs would feed their family type thing. So now it's no longer $20 for 20 pounds. Now we do 35 pounds, $35 for about 25 to 30 pounds of produce each time. What else can I say about this?
I have a question.
Go.
So you mentioned that it made it easier for the community to access the CSA. What kind of pressure did it put on you and Apple naturally kind of did it that way, if any?
Well, to keep it 100, it didn't put any pressure on us because it's like, since we grew, we can do whatever we want with it, right? That's the first thing. The second part of it is we still accept SNAP and credit cards and cash and all that type of stuff. And then the third part is that we have alternative revenue streams that we're not just reliant on the sale of produce as our main revenue stream. It's an important stream, but it's not the only stream of income. So for us as an organization, it is like, I sell produce, but I do some other things which I'll get into in a little bit that allows me to not be like, oh my God, I don't sell the carrots. I'm not gonna be able to pay payroll. That's not the energy that I come to the space with. Another thing, how to say this? When I first started, I told you I didn't have a refrigerator, and that was stressful because we deal with perishable items. This is a big reason why I don't do farmers markets. You can talk to a bunch of farmers, and they'll all give you different reasons for why they do things the way they do. For me, the return on investment for me showing up to the farmer's market it was never a case that I can make. I can never say like, I made so much money at the farmer's market, I'm gonna be back here every week. I never came, I didn't come to the work doing that. You know what I'm saying? I came to the work pre-selling produce and having people pick it up. You know what I mean? And because I didn't have a refrigerator, it was like, I can't afford to buy this stuff, show up at the market, and hope you buy it. It's just not feasible financially for me. There's too much loss associated with the shit because I got it yesterday. I gotta sell it tomorrow. I can't put it anywhere. I ain't got nowhere to put it. So the only way that I can really justify making that $200 investment is like I had to pre-sell it, and then if I bought extra stuff, right, I would sell it to the people that were already coming to pick up from the market. You know what I mean? Going to the farmer's market for me always felt like the Coliseum, the gladiator pit, where it's like me versus any other farmer that's here, right? It's not too much difference of what we have. You know what I'm saying? He's got zucchinis, I might got patty pan squash, he might got scallions, I might got leeks, but all in all, we're selling produce, and ultimately, it becomes who's got the most attractive booth, who's got the most personable sales person. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not the best at that shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, I'm not a haggler. price is the price. I mean, I don't go to, you can't go to Target and have one. You can't go to Walmart and have one, so why are you trying to have one with me? I know some people like that shit, and they like some cultures, you gotta have one, like they appreciate that, but I'm not, I have too much at stake in terms of the price point that I'm coming to the market with already, right? It's slim. I'm not expecting to get rich, so if I come to the farmer's market and I set this price for $3, I really need it for $3. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of wiggle room, right? Then the other thing is that because I've been an urban farmer and growing on very small spaces and then aggregating, you know what I'm saying, from farmers with large spaces, what I learned in the market, people have a psychological conditioning that looks at the produce that's on the table at the farmer's market like they would look at the grocery aisle. And if it's not pretty and abundant, then their question is what's wrong with it. And there's really nothing wrong with it, it's just that I ain't got the volume like they would show up at Lottie's or, you know, Aldi. Like it's just, I ain't got it shaking like that. So when I come out there and I got, you know, my little 8-foot table, maybe 2 8-foot tables, and I got my baskets, as the day goes by and that basket diminishes, the people coming by, they're looking at my basket with like slim pickings, and then they go to the next guy who's got like, you know, stacks and stacks of stuff. They're gonna pass my stuff by. They're gonna say, okay, why ain't nobody buying that was wrong with his stuff? So presentation is the thing, but we'll get into all that anyway. I'm not disparaging farmers markets, I'm just saying this is why I have found them to be my jam. Okay? What we decided to do in the last year, actually, was to invest in a box truck, a refrigerated box truck. And so now we are adding delivery to this subscription program. So what you do, you go on the website, click in whether or not you want 4 weeks, or you want to have bi-weekly for 2 months, 3 months, or if you want to have every week for 4 months. And then you pay an additional fee, $5 per delivery, for us to drop this pack of curated produce from growers across Central Virginia to your door.
It doesn't, you have to live within a certain.
So we're doing 30-mile radius.
That's a good radio.
So Richmond is 60 square miles. So from Richmond, I can go 30 miles to south, and I'll take them to Petersburg. So, I ain't going further than Petersburg. So this season, we're kind of pivoting. And this energy right now, what we're already doing, we're doing like 30, we're doing 40 packs a week with this model right now, which will turn into, I'm hoping, at least 80 once we offer the delivery service. You know what I mean? I speak that into this.
I have a question too about is there any way that people know or have an idea of what it could possibly be?
Yeah, we kind of get, like, on the head of at the top of the season, we talk about what is available seasonally. We generally now know, like, what will be available in the first couple of weeks and what will be available the second and the third and then after the summer. So we give you a list of potential items that could be in the box. But I know what I'm growing. It's harder for me to, like, at this point, get a gauge on what all the farmers in the network are growing.
How many farmers is it?
So right now it's like 4. No, I take it back. 1, 2, Tasha, Omar, Mark, Patrick, No, we have established relationships with farmers already. You know what I mean? But we're always trying to grow that too. It's not like these are the only farmers we want to work with.
Yeah, Richmond area.
Say it again.
Yeah, Richmond area.
So no, not all of them. Some of them are in Surrey County. Some of them are in Dinwiddie. Got a couple in Petersburg that are on the Petersburg Oasis Community Farm. Maybe 2 or 3 of them. Actually, Patrick is in Richmond now. He was in Henrico. And then Mark Davis from Real Roots is in Hamilton.
I have another question. I see like lots of like green produce and peppers and things like that. One thing I don't see a lot, like or hear a lot about, is like beans and peas and like the proteins. I'm just curious to know that is it because it's very labor intensive, or like why don't we see more like chickpeas or pinto beans or protein?
Well, the reason why I don't grow it is because it is so big. Anybody ever heard about folks going to their grandparents' house and shucking beans? Yeah. So that was a task that was given to folks, kids, and specifically for a reason, because it is a monotonous, laborious thing. I think that's probably one of the reasons. I do have farmers that I've copped, green beans from, like by the bushel. And I think for me, I think the short answer is for me is like I've had difficulty keeping string beans fresh. I gotta buy a lot of them from the farmer. They're not gonna come and sell me, a little canister. It's gonna be a big bin of green beans. And so I gotta get that big bushel gotta go to everybody like right away. I can't keep that in the freezer longer than, a week. Because after a week it's gonna start degrading and nobody wants the beans. So that's probably just not only the harvesting but also for me like the distribution of it has been a challenge. But
And then with other beans, you have to dry them before you can, like,
So
pinto
if you-
beans or navy beans.
navy beans, pinto beans, red beans, yeah, you have the stores, and then they have to be dried out to set aside. And then I think for most of the farmers in our region, like they're not growing. That type of production requires a lot of space, and so the premium for space is like, what's going to be my return on me growing that many plants with beans and then selling that shit? It doesn't really make a lot of financial sense for them.
They grow soybean.
But soybean is like,
There's a lot of farms
they do so.
in the southeast of Virginia that grow soybean.
So, for most of the farmers that you run across that are like in more rural areas, they're growing like corn and soybeans. But like produce farmers, they're like, okay, what's gonna give me more revenue for space? And it's not
John, I was surprised not to see okra on your list. Because it grows so well. Do you also?
I grow okra. Okra is tricky because okra, once it starts producing, you gotta get it before it gets so big. Yeah, you gotta get it early. And I think for us, in the couple of years that we've grown okra, we would miss that week, and then it would be like, yo, we got all this woody okra nobody wants. So it's a timing thing. Alright, so long and short, if you are going to sell produce, you want to figure out who your customer base is, and I would encourage you to think of ways that you can pre-sell the produce that you're growing, and it don't have to be produce, it can also be flowers, we'll talk about that in a second. Think about how you can pre-sell the stuff you're growing, so that you're not relying on somebody walking up and popping from you. Okay? Another model that we've trialed, I think we might get back to as we evolve in this thing, It's pick your own. Pick your own is a type of farm distribution, produce distribution, that basically for a fee, you charge people to come to your farm, set up a scale, and you say, hey man, here's a receptacle of some sort for you to put your stuff in, and you can harvest as much as you want out of this space for this price, right? Both of these models, the pick your own as well as the traditional CSA or membership club, are both pioneered by a gentleman named Booker T. Watley. Booker T. Watley was a farmer, black farmer from Georgia, worked at Tuskegee in Extension, and he was the one that really kind of came up with these ideas of like people supporting the farm by having a membership, and as a part of their membership, he offered up the pick your own situation. You can come to the farm, you pay your membership, on specified days you come to the farm, and then you get X amount of produce, from harvesting. When it talks about it, is to make sure that you have people that can help guide people in their harvesting, right? And make sure that you have grown enough to meet the demand or meet the amount of people that you have subscribing to your farm, right? So that's also a math question, a math equation that you need to do. Like how much square feet worth of things am I growing, and how many members am I coming to pick stuff?
Has there ever been a time where you didn't have enough to meet the demand? And like, what did you do? Did you opt for something more the next week, or did you come up with certain?
So we have never done specifically pick your own.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going back. I'm reversing time. I'm sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
know we're on pick your own.
But on the CSA?
Yes.
Oh, okay, no, so in the CSA, what we do is we look at how many people we have, how many pounds of produce do we need to meet the amount of shares that are gonna be delivered that week, right? So what I do is I calculate, okay, if I got 40 shares to give away, and I wanna make sure that each box has 30 pounds, then, all right, I know that I'm gonna need X amount of onions to fill 40 packs. Or if I'm hopping from a farmer specifically, I'll be like, okay, I need 40 units or 40 bundles of collard greens, or 40 cases of blueberries, or I need 40 half dozen cartons of eggs. You know what I'm saying? Or 40 jars of honey. I buy specifically what I need, so I don't have a whole lot of overage, or not under either. You know what I mean? When I'm growing stuff, I try to plant enough for me to have items throughout the entire season that will fill that 40. You know what I mean? But I'm not expecting to fill that 40 by myself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, I know that my produce is going in this bag. I'm getting my money off of that. So even if I got 50% of the items is mine, I know the other 50 is coming from somebody else. So I'm always in the space where I got some of this is my stuff, but some of this is coming from other people too. So it's just about thinking about what I got, and then prior to my delivery, all right, well, minus what I got, what do I need? So I got to do that math on a week-to-week basis. You know what I'm saying?
I was in my head, even though I know this been in my head, I was missing the part that they don't make their own stuff.
Oh, yeah.
In my head, I'm like, oh, okay, it's not.
Well, what we did do right before COVID, we were doing deliveries, and we offered up as an add-on that you could come to the farm and pick your own, all right, for an additional fee. And so that was a really successful experience, and I've been tempted to go back and do that again at Sankofa, because it became this thing where people that were purchasing from our CSA were bringing their families to the space paying an additional fee just so they can be a part, they can participate in the harvest, right? But again, you gotta have enough people to meet the families that are coming, because you don't want people just walking through the farm, messing up stuff, right? So I remember vividly like having to show folks how to harvest celery, right? Like somebody come and try to take the whole celery plant out. I'm like, no, just cut it. It'll grow back. You know what I'm saying? Or no, it's an easy thing to like. You know what I mean? It's no shade. Like people don't know that you cut the celery at the base and leave the roots, because in a couple weeks that celery will regrow and I can harvest it again. Same thing for collard greens. I remember people pull the whole collard green plant, and I'm like, no, that's not the way to do it. Just harvest the leaves from the bottom up instead of pulling the whole plant, because you pull the whole plant and now I get no more collard greens versus it'll grow back. Sure.
The subscription thing that you're doing, is it ever a situation where you don't have enough subscribers to break even, or make it make sense, or you have like so many, you gotta make sure that grows?
No, so it's never a situation where I don't have enough or I have too much. Like the subscriber conversation for me is like, even if I got 10 subscribers, like
It makes sense financially.
yeah, it makes sure. For me, it makes sense because again, I got other forms of revenue that's coming in. If I only got 10 people, that means that I got an abundance of produce, and like the 10 people that are participating, they about to get loaded with a bunch extra because I got more than I can do anything with. You know what I mean? So it's again, since I grew it, I can do what I want with it. I got my own price that I'm setting for the thing. That's my floor, right? But if I want to be like, well, shit, I'm having a sale today, and you know, watermelons is going for 2 for $5. And if I grew them, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the I created my own scale.
What about the, like, I think it's you.
No, go,
Your
please.
employees, you know, like, there's more, I guess, breaking even is not just on the produce, but paying, so.
Paying my staff. That's why again, so again, because I'm not, so as a farmer, because I don't have one stream of income, like I have other things that are bringing in revenue to my business. So it's like I'm accounting. When I do my accounting, I have my payroll set off of different money that's coming in, right? So I'm not like, oh my God, I don't like that energy of my team being under pressure to hit the field and harvest, because I know that that's not the only part of the puzzle that needs to be solved for, right? I also have to sell. You know what I mean? I also have to package and post-harvest and shit like that. So, because if I was only relying on my produce, then the energy that I give to my employees would be totally different. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, I gotta get out here and hit this field, and if y'all don't hit this field, then, you know what I'm saying, y'all ain't gonna get paid. And that's not how as a farming organization, that's a lot of pressure, knowing that there are other methods for us to generate revenue as an organization. So, yeah. So anyway, pick your home. It's a great way to introduce people to your farm. And it's also a great way to generate revenue because, for example, I have an orchard, right? There's a Carter Orchard, I think, in Charlottesville. You go to Charlottesville, you pay, I think I can't remember what it was. But it's like $20 or something. Yeah. $30 for a bag. And you can walk through Carter Orchard and pick as many apples as that bag can fill. and then you get another, you have to get another bag or put it in your hoodie. You know what I mean? But because they got these trees, what that does for them is it saves them on the labor of harvesting apples. Now you as a labor force, you're a visitor of their space, but you're also part of the labor force. They just paid you just paid them to pick the fruit. So it's like, oh, I ain't gotta hire nobody to get on the ladder and harvest these gala apples because you just gave me $20 to do it. You know what I mean? So on Sankofa, you know, something like this could work because we have so many fruit trees that are producing at different times of the year. So if I wanted to be like, yo, boom, we're gonna have a pick your own when the pears are bountiful, then I could charge $5 and be like, yo, bring your bag and then harvest as many pears as your bag can. You know what I mean? That's a pick your own situation. Or, you know, when our blueberries are all rocking or our strawberries pop, we can do the same thing. You know what I mean? So that's you don't have to, it don't always have to be one way. And that's, I think what I want y'all to leave with tonight is that as I talk about these different strategies, all of these are different ways to generate revenue for your farm. I am not a fan of relying on just one strategy to generate revenue for my business efforts. I'm thinking like there's multiple ways of us making money. Farmers markets. Now, I talked a little bit about this a second ago, but I'm really dialing on this, and this is my point. Most farmers markets are not farmer-centric. There are markets that might have farmers, right? There are more value-added producers and craft vendors at the farmers market than there are farmers. Craft, artisans, people that make stuff, show up at the farmers market more than the guys that grow the food. But they got the name farmers market because the idea is that these are the farmers market. This is like literally you go to the market that's owned by the farmers, so it's the farmers market. That's not what it is anymore. Now today it's somebody that's not a farmer that started the market and they invited farmers to come sell at their market. So if I were to do a farmer's market today, it would be at my farm. And so it would be a farm stand that I have at my farm that I invited other vendors to come sell at my farm. Alright? That way it's like, y'all come to me. I got the food growing here. You want to come sell? Come boom, I got my refrigerator right here. And I emphasize that refrigerator piece because in order to set up for the farmer's market, you gotta harvest the stuff. You gotta wash it, get it processed and ready to be sold. You gotta put it inside of a cooler somewhere because you cannot harvest on the morning of the farmer's market, clean it on the morning of the farmer's market, and then show up at the market with it and have a good day as a salesman. It's too many steps. You had to get up at like 5 in the morning and do it like that. And what person is in their right mind when we're gonna do that? You know what I mean? So for a farmer to be successful at the farmer's market, I gotta have some form of cold storage somewhere that I've harvested this stuff earlier in the week. So when I pull it out of the refrigerator, I put it somewhere that's gonna stay cool, and then I show up at the market, get my table, and set it up and sell. If that's what you choose to do, I encourage you to have other things at your table that will attract people to the space. Music, some sort of game, something that engage the population, the people that are walking through the market. Like, what's gonna make you stand out? Yeah, the farm to table demo, the chef that's there, you know what I'm saying? Something that's gonna make people wanna fuck with you, you know what I'm saying? Because again, it's competition. You got other farmers that are in the space. But again, if you do the farmer's market at your farm, then you got it's a different energy. Because, this is my home. I'm selling my stuff, and then you promote them. I'm inviting other people to come sell at my space too. Yeah, we can. Yeah, and again, that's another staff thing. You know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure you have enough people. Gonna need a scale, receipt book, or some form of electronic transaction. In fact, at this point in the game, like, I don't even know why we take cash, because it's like everybody got some form of electronic payment. But you know, some people like, I like cash. I'm all for cash. You know, like, give me the cash. Like, that's what's up. But you know, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, what else? Zelle. There's a ton of these things. Apple Pay. I didn't even know about Apple Pay until last year. I was like, oh. You can take your phone out and people can put their tag on it. So I was like, bro, like, what you trying to do? But anyway, let me finish this. What you're doing at a farmer's market, you're typically going to rent a booth. It's going to be about $100, maybe more. It depends on who you're rocking with. Some people look out for the farmers because it is a farmer's market and farmers are scarce. So they might give you the booth for like a lower price. Again, presentation is everything. Just make sure if you're going to show up at a farmer's market, don't get mad if your presentation ain't up to par. You know what I mean? Make sure your shit look amazing, because you're basically inviting people to your store, and you're setting up a temporary store. Any pop-up situation that you would do at your farm, be prepared to do that at the farmer's market, so that when people walk into your booth, you know, I learned this through doing Happily Natural Day. Happily Natural Day has a vendor market. We've been doing vendor markets for the last 22 years at Happily Natural Day. The people that make the most money have a booth that you walk into. You walking into their store, right? They have items that are priced for the low, and they have some things that are priced for the high. They got a lot of low stuff because, you know, they can make more money on the low stuff real quick versus just having a whole bunch of high price items in the situation. If I show up with watermelons at the farmer's market, I'm gonna sell them by the slice. I'm not gonna sell the whole watermelons because I can make more money off the melon at the market. If I sell you a melon for $12 at the farmer's market, yeah, I got that $12, but I could probably take that same melon that I bought for $6 and cut it up into, you know, what? At least, let's just say I can cut it up into 12 slices. And I can sell each one of those slices for $3. So that's $36 versus 12. You know what I'm saying? Or I can juice it. I can literally throw my juicer blender out the situation, bring my blender out, cut up slices of the melon, put it in the blender, boom, I'm making juice. I sell the juice $4 a cup, and by the time I sell 3 cups, I just sold a whole watermelon, but I probably still got more watermelon left. You know what I mean? So this is the psychology of showing up at a farmer's market. Like, how am I gonna get the best? How am I gonna make the most amount of money in this small amount, in this small window, and make sure that my presentation is tight and solid.
You're on how frequent in the farmer's market? If you were hosting, if you were hosting.
Once a month? If I did them at St. Hopeful, if I had the staff right now, I probably would do it every week.
Every week.
Yeah, in the summertime, I would do it every Saturday. You know, because we're out there, because I'm out there anyway.
Yeah.
So, but because I ain't got the staff situation I really wanted right now, that might be a next year thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so Kai is my market person. And she got a ton of shit going on. And I don't really, you know what I'm saying? She knows our aesthetic and how we want it to be presented. You know, I ain't got time to really lock in on that right now, you know what I'm saying? So I'd rather that be one person's action. Than me trying to vet, and I'm trying to teach class, and I'm trying to lead the volunteer action. It's too many different things. Another way to generate revenue, selling direct to restaurants and caterers. Direct drops to local restaurants is an excellent way to generate revenue. I know farmers that was their whole model. They grew nothing but quick crops. Lots of lettuces, lots of kale, lots of collard greens, you know, lots of arugula, microgreens and shit
got salad every day. There's like not a day that salad is not on the menu. Nobody buys a salad all day. Salad is on the menu. And so, since salad is on the menu every day, and we know as farmers that greens are good for a week, after a week, you know what I mean, you keep it in the refrigerator keep lettuce in the refrigerator longer than a week and let me know how it looks after day 10. Nobody want to eat that, you know what I'm saying? So since there's always a market for greens, going to local restaurants and that being your entry point it's a relatively good model. Richmond as a quote unquote foodie city, there's enough restaurants out here that would love to say that they purchase produce local from local farmers. That's a great sales point for them. For them? I don't know. I don't think so.
How do you get credibility in the aisle of a restaurant?
So when we were at one point in time, we were really focused on restaurants and trying to get them to buy stuff. We would invite the chefs to the farm and be like, "Yo, come through. I want you to see what we got." You know what I mean? And then let them taste a couple of things or what have you. Like talk about our practices and stuff like that, and develop that relationship in that way. Now, we've had our hands in so many other pots to kind of relax. We have all the way relaxed on trying to sell the restaurants. It hasn't been a big conversation for us, and I think we need to get back to it. I say another way of building that rapport with restaurants is like, if you're gonna start selling to them, find out what day they need the stuff. If it's a Tuesday, don't miss a Tuesday. Because the moment you miss a Tuesday, your credibility is shot. It's like they needed that. If they was expecting you to come on that Tuesday and you didn't come, that means that you gotta go to Restaurant Depot or some other place to get the salad that you were supposed to bring that day, and you just caused them more trouble, and they can't trust that you're gonna stay consistent. So if you won't start something to the restaurant and you won't fuck it up, you gotta have, a plan on how you can consistently meet that demand, i.e. quick crops and having a succession planting or a system of relationships with other growers that if you ain't got it, you know who got it. You know what I mean? With the caterers, it's less, it's like one-offs. Sometimes you might get with a caterer and they might want a specific item. Another time they might want something else. I remember my first time ever selling to a caterer, I was working at Virginia State, and the guy ordered like 300 pounds of squash and like 200 pounds of peppers. And I got all the shit from my farmer, I loaded it up in the back of a van and rolled my ass up to fucking DC at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And that was the worst mistake I ever made. I didn't get to DC until goddamn. Yeah, it was like almost 9 o'clock. Yeah. By the time I got to the stuff in the back was like soggy. I was so like, man, this is the worst. But it was a lesson learned. You know what I mean? Definitely a lesson learned. Another way to develop relationships with restaurants is to get to know not necessarily the owners. You want to get to know the chefs, the people that are actually cooking in the kitchen. Because those are the people that, if you get them on your side, they don't want to place no orders. You know what I'm saying? The owners is like, yo, the chef and the menu is what's driving their revenue. They don't really give a fuck about where it comes from, as long as the cost isn't like throwing our whole budget and accounting off. You know what I mean? So I like the idea of like tapping chefs to come do shit at the farm too. We haven't done it this year, but last year, I'll talk about it in a second. Feast of Resistance, our dinners, was our way of building a relationship with chefs in the community. We would hire them to come and do dinners at our farm spaces. And then now you got a different relationship with the chef. It's not like, I'm trying to sell you some shit. I've already did business with you. I brought
brought you out to my space to cook for my audience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now we got a rapport because I'm like, yo, take some of my stuff, throw it into the menu for the night. So direct to restaurants, that could be, Bowtie Farms is a farm that's up the street from Brook Road. This guy who started the farm, he was a restaurateur. He jumped out there and basically was selling to all of his restaurant buddies greens that he was growing on his farm. That was his whole angle. So I know there's ways to kind of keep that energy going. Again, if you want to build that relationship, come with it with the sales pitch. Like, yo, here's a little sticker or flyer that says stuff about my farm that you can put on the table or put in your business that tells where the produce came from. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of gives them more of an incentive that they ain't got to do a whole lot of ag work in order to promote the fact that they're using your produce. Contract growing is another way to generate revenue. And that's, I mean, this is a little harder to get, but it's like, imagine, I'm trying to think of a place. The daycare that got the kids and they literally cook the food for the kids in the daycare, right? Going up to them and being like, yo, I know y'all cook for the kids. How would it look for you all to get a contract? With us, for us to grow some items that you are cooking on a regular basis for the kids in your program, right? We just started having a conversation with ECU about the Ram Pantry, right? They like to have fresh produce in the Ram Pantry. So we were like, yo, you can get us a contract to grow items specifically for the Ram Pantry. Just let us know what it is that you want, and we'll draw the invoice and send it. You know what I'm saying? Send it your way. One of the really unique type of contract growing that we do is there's this program called LFPA, Local Food Promotion Assistance. I don't know what the hell the A stands for. But BDAC offered up this program to give away food to community members, and they gave grants to community organizations, right? To purchase produce from local organizations, farmers, and then that organization would give that food away. So we have a contract with an organization that I think is maybe like $60,000 that we grow the food or purchase it, whatever. We get that food to that organization, right? And whatever we give them gets given away. So that's how I'm like, send me a picture of what you gave to Ms. Rome. That way I can go and invoice that over to the Brooklyn Park Civic Association. That type of contract is not hard to find. There's a lot of organizations that are interested in, like, you know, mutual aid and giving away produce. So, you know, having conversations with folks like that. Churches is another way to have that conversation. Like, yo, y'all buying stuff. I know St. Thomas, Presbyterian, I think, off the road, we've sold them stuff. You know, so in some instances there might not be a full-on contract, there might be a case-by-case scenario, but we try, if they won't buy it from you once, we want to have a conversation about, like, okay, how can we make this a long-standing conversation?
I have a question on that. It's kind of a tangent, but how do you get these churches to come out of their pockets to see valued farmers and pay you?
So what I learned is that the food pantries buy their produce from Feedmore. Okay? So you think about Feedmore, and you think Feedmore as an organization is giving this food away to the churches. It is not. The churches buy shit from Feedmore, right? And then they give it away. So once I learned that, I'm like, oh, well, what's up? Y'all buy food?
services, group homes, same way. You know, the conversation is really about trying to find out who's cooking the food in these human service oriented organizations. And if they're cooking food, they're buying food. Now, the idea is some folks, you know, after school programs, they might get day shit from USDA and all that different type of stuff. That's a different conversation. Like how to go through procurement with like state level agencies. It's a little bit more of a headache than I ain't even gonna go there. I'm just saying that it takes a little bit longer of a process to work your way through the annals of like state situations. If you're, since we did this thing with DCU, I learned that it's like under a certain amount. Like if it's under 5,000, it's a lot less headache to get in order to get a contract with them. All right, let me speed it up. It's 8:15 already. All right, pricing your produce. This is a little toughie, but remember our conversation about square foot gardening, square foot farming. There's $43,560 in a square acre, and we would like to attribute a dollar value to every square foot on our farm. So, if you're growing a row of anything, look at what you're growing on that row to have at least $1 in value per square foot. Right? That's your baseline. It goes up, not down. Start at $1 and then work your way up. You know what I mean? If I can get $1 out of this square foot, how can I get 2, 3, 4, 5 out of that square foot? That's what you're trying to do the math on. Easy way to do that, go to the grocery store and take a picture of the prices. You know what I mean? It's the easiest way. There's others, but in terms of people you sell it to, they're not gonna understand any other ways. So you go to Food Line, look at prices on the Food Line shelf, and be like, yo, I can beat Food Line, or I can at least meet Food Line's price. You know what I mean? And that still might be undercutting, but that's a whole other conversation to have. We ain't got time for that. Other ways that we generate revenue. We got the Happening Yesterday Mobile Kitchen. It was donated to us from Bond Scores. So on the mobile kitchen, we take the food that we grow and, you know, turn it into meals for sale. This piece of equipment has given me so much headache. I ain't gonna lie to you, like, this all, like, thank God for the commitment and dedication to anybody that operates a food truck. This shit has been a lot. It's been a lot. I mean, no, I'm just gonna keeping it 100% transparent. Like, just working with the equipment and making sure all that stuff works, it's been a headache. But God knows we should be right about to cross the finish line, and like, yeah, hopefully before the end of this month, like, we had an issue with our generator. And it's been like $3,000 to get the generator fixed. And now it's fixed, now we're ready to go hit the road with the generator. But our model with this is that we found out that we realized that people were like, oh, I don't really cook. Like, I want to eat healthy, but, you know what I mean? I don't really do, so, all right, well, shit, like, we'll cook it for you. And so our model with this is that we work with a chef, they become our resident chef, and they get to use the food truck while they save money to purchase their own food truck. Right? So what that means is that they selling items off of the truck, and when we pull up with the truck, okay, we got stuff that we grow that is also for sale, or we're using the truck to give away stuff through our contract with the community organization. Either way, we making money because we either selling what just generating revenue for what we sell,
or we making money by building the community organization for the stuff that we give away for free.
You ever think about like giving away recipes of like food that you sell?
We give away recipes. It goes out on our email. Hopefully this year, this is our second week. We're supposed to send out some emails to the people that subscribe. I don't know if we did it or not, but I know that was a part of our conversation. Again, there's so many pieces. I let the other people do it, and I'm like, yo, you're supposed to be sending messages and letting people know when to pick up your stuff. So I try not to get all the these on it. But the ideal situation with the CSA is yes, you get a recipe or something. But then on our website, on the Happy National website, I have a whole archive of recipes. So when anybody comes to purchase stuff, hey, just go to our website. There's a whole category of blogs that I've just basically aggregated from all of these YouTube channels. It's like, anything you want to cook. Southern cooking, West Indian, Latinx, whatever. Caribbean, whatever it's at. Alright. So I'm bringing the food truck in the mix to kind of truck the conversation for value-added products, but everybody's not going to get a food truck. But if you can figure out a situation where you can co-use or work with somebody that already has a food truck, you can be supplying the produce. The old goal for us getting this truck was like to figure out a way to get our produce into the market. Oh, it's the plan. Alright. And just as we put it on cut out. Another thing that I want to emphasize in terms of making money on your farm is we talked a lot about growing food, but you also can grow cut flowers. Cut flowers are a really big ticket item, especially for like wedding planners and floral designers that are looking for people to like purchase their flowers from on the red. I had a sister friend from Hazelwood Farm. She built her whole business on selling cut flowers and herbs, but mostly cut flowers. She sold her business. She was able to sell her farm business, like literally, like she had a plot at what's the name of it? Charlotte Acres, which is a community or a collaborative farm in Hanover. She said she was ready to retire. Well, she wanted to get out of the game. Literally sold all her infrastructure, like her roads, the flower was already growing in them, to another farmer who just took it up and kept the energy rolling. I think they might have renamed it, but I'm not sure. That's a good question. So just think about it, man. Like, I had a church reach out to us, and our Brook Road, U Farm, Cocoromonte, like we planted a ton of perennial flowers out there, and they was like, yo, we want a farmer that we can buy flowers from. Like specifically, that's what they're asking. So this is Gannon Park Presbyterian, huge church on Seminary Avenue, who they booked the church for weddings. Like that's a major part of their revenue generation, and they were looking for people to just buy flowers from, right? So I remember working at Lewis Gannon, the botanical garden. They make a big bank off of weddings. They sell the flowers that they grow on the botanical garden to the folks that rent the venue, which is like, a no-brainer. Like, I got this venue, I grow these flowers, You gotta have a wedding, you gonna want flowers, like, I'm gonna put it all in one pack. Value added products. This is, I don't know, I was talking to somebody last week. Value added products don't have to be complicated. Any product, anything that I grow, that I turn into something else, right, and then sell, is a value added product. Now, once I grow that lettuce, after I harvest it, clean it, put it in a bag, and put my sticker on it, I just turn that into a value added product. The fact that I put it in the bag and put my sticker on the front of it made it value added. Okay? I literally created a product from off of my farm. So what I could probably sell that raw lettuce in a bundle to somebody for $2, the fact that I put it in a bag and I put my sticker on it, now I can sell it for $3. Because now it's branded and it's got a little bit more shelf life because it's been sealed inside the bag. I urge anybody that's growing a thing, if you got a farm space, think about how you're going to take something that you're growing and package it and then sell it versus just relying on you just selling it straight out of the box. I'll use blueberries, for example. Right? If I come to your farm and you got the blueberries in the little disposable carton, right? And there's just blueberries in the carton, that's one price. But if I got that in the clamshell with your brand and logo on the top of the thing, and it's got a nice little seal on the top of it, that's another price. Just like if I go to the grocery store today, like they got, I don't know, Driscoll strawberries, right? Driscoll strawberries come with a little case, got a little label on the joint on the top. That's gonna be one price versus if I just go get the Food Line brand strawberries. So that's at the most basic level. That's value add, right? Now, imagine I got herbs. What's the left about herbs in here for sale? My homie, Mark, he was taking thyme, rosemary, chives, oregano. You get a little plastic case, put a couple of sprigs in it, close up the seal with the plastic case. It sells for one price, just raw bundle, another price when it's in the case. That's as simple as it has to be. But anything that you vertically integrate is a value add. Now it gets a little complicated depending on what you're trying to sell and how much of it you're trying to sell. And in this moment, like I think it's up to like $20,000 for like home. I gotta look it up. For like home cooks or home, like a home cooking situation, there's like a ceiling. Like you can't make more than X amount a month before you have to get like a bigger kitchen. Yeah, that's what it is, a cottage rule. So for example, if I was trying to like make pickles, right? Pickles is the ultimate value added product. I go to cucumbers, then I pickle it. You know what I'm saying? And I saw it. That's the pickles on the ground like pickles, right? Right? I did your own recipe for the brine and all that stuff. But it's so once somebody puts that in that bottle and puts that label on the junk, like they fall under the cottage rule, they can make enough, they can make so much before they, they gotta go through a set of inspections and all that type of stuff because it's like over 20,000.
That's the state.
It's a state rule. It's a state rule. But there's places that you can go to value add, but they are all pricey as fuck now. Commercial kitchens are hard to find because of the rise of the ghost kitchen. The ghost kitchens, you know, like businesses that literally like don't have a storefront, they just have a space where they make stuff and sell it. They're super pricey. But churches are still, again, another target to look at. There's so many churches that are not being used during the week, and if you can find one and have a conversation with the ownership and be like, "Oh, I would like to rent your kitchen," you know, then you can probably do a lot of what you would do inside of a ghost kitchen or a commercial kitchen that you will rent, you know, for like $1,200 a month inside of a kitchen of a church. We have we rent a commissary kitchen from Mechanicsville Presbyterian Church off of Alley Road for like $600 a month, right? And that is where a lot of our weekly soups and salads get prepared because, you know, and it's also where we have our registration for our food truck, right? Because you gotta have a commissary kitchen whenever I operate a food truck. Alright? But again, just as a reminder, value adding is not just from produce. Look at Bruno. Bruno is making a value added product in the form of compost. Every day he, you know, gets some finished compost, he can sell it. Right? Just like we could. We're making biochar, which is a name for soil, right? So think about any of the things that you can make on the farm as value-added products. You know, it could just be you taking herbs and then dehydrating them, and then grinding them up and turning them into some sort of a seasoned salt. You know, value-added product. Bang. I took peppers that we grew and dehydrated them and grinded them up and then bang, off of maybe like, I don't know, 2 quarter bags of peppers. I had a big container about this big of nothing but delicious spice. I mean, it was hot stuff, sweet stuff, spice stuff, just all mixed up, whatever peppers I had left over for the season. My brother, John Dodson, was one of our early trainees. He would go harvest fruit from the fruit trees at different community gardens. He would grow the hottest of the hot peppers you can grow, take pectin, and make jams, what do you call pepper jams from these different fruits. And I seen him sell out of that stuff. Like, we went to the market one day just talking about the work we were doing. He had the stuff on there, he sold every one of them. And that's a value added product. He made it in the kitchen. I'll never forget that I woke up and he had let the shit burn. And the house was like somebody pepper sprayed my house.
What about George West? The food at George West.
Oh yeah, that's right. George West harvested those pears from George West, and I sold those to Sweet Vines Winery outside of Cumberland, who turned the pears into wines on the farm. I just posted the same from Ruby's News, who took some of our habaneros and turned it into mango habanero sorbet. You know what I mean? That's a value added product too. All right. So what about how many ways of community come off? So far, all right, the CSA, pick your own, farmers markets, direct restaurants, contract growing, food truck, cut flowers, value-added products, and then agritourism. How many things that was?
That's 9.
That was 9. This is the 9th thing. This is the 9th way of you making money on your farm, all right? So, what if you looked at your farm as a venue? Okay? Agritourism is any type of educational, entertainment, social event that you host at your farm. It is an industry. In every state across the country, agritourism is an industry, right? You as a farmer would do well to look at having events at your farm as its own category of revenue. Because, think about how much money people pay to go to Lewis, to rent out Lewis Ginter. Right? You don't even gotta be Lewis Ginter, but you can charge for the use of your space. And just like Lewis Ginter holds his own events, you can host your own events as well, right? So I spend a lot of time with that, and being that I came from a festival planning kind of space when I started doing this work, I was always thinking about how the spaces that we were creating could double and triple in usage from just like I grow food here to also I host, this is a third space for gathering and for coming together. So, of course, we got educational events, right? That's obvious, right? You having educational stuff about gardening and growing are the most obvious, but it doesn't have to stop there. Like, why can't you have a homeschool group do, their classes at your farm? Why can't you have yoga classes at your farm, right? Why can't you have, medicinal herb usage on your farm? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Why can't you have therapy sessions, garden-based therapy at your farm? We advertise dirt therapy, but don't get it twisted. Like, there is a whole healing modality around using the outdoors and nature as a tool for mental health. Like, we just kind of try to make it demystified. Like, this is simple. But literal counselors and social workers will, have an entire experience with their clients in gardens as a way to help process PTSD, forms of autism, all types of stuff. But educational events is a definitive. And what you gonna charge? This is the question. This is your space. I can charge whatever I want, right? I can make it free if I want to, and then I got stuff to say. And, my space. I can do them as much as I want, or as least as I want. It's up to me. Farm tours. Another excellent form of agritourism. At St. Kofo, we just did our first mural tour. Mayor was there, you know what I mean? Charged a fee for people to come, and we literally give people a tour of the murals at the space. You don't have to do murals, you can just do a tour of the farm, like of the different things that you have going on in your space. Oh! That's the one we did.
Shout out your man.
So, we've been doing tours. We've been doing tours since we had McDonald's, since the first garden. It was just like, it's 3,000 square feet, but it's a lot to digest. We were talking about soil fertility, raised beds, fruit trees, access to healthy food, climate resiliency, so many conversations to have while on the tour. The history of the space, the history of the neighborhood, the history of the community, So many different things to have.
We love getting our students tours at St. Kofo and giving the invoice and paying St. Kofo. That's a beautiful thing.
That's a beautiful thing.
come all the way from Baltimore, like bring, like, I think this is the third year, that they've done now, and they did this year. But we, at least 2 years in a row, this group brought 90 kids on the bus down to Richmond, Virginia, to tour Sankofa. And, you know, I was like, damn. And matter of fact, next week we got the Black Church Food Security Network coming from Maryland, bringing like 20, 30 people down to take a tour of not only Sankofa, but other farms too. But we're on the list.
And you're just.
Yeah, and we're, yeah, and it's, workshops. So, you know, we do the Southside Growers Academy, which is like a 5-week workshop on how to grow shit. We got the cannabis growing workshops that are happening now. You know, just any number of different types of workshops you can have. It's all about skill building, right? You can do a ton of stuff at your farm on building skills specifically related to agriculture, but there could be other home economics and survival and whatever, prepping, whatever you want to call it. And then dinners. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the dinners, and then I'm gonna open it up for dialogue. So we brought a ton of food. Imagine 30 people, $50 a pop. Alright? The only cost that I have to spend is on paying the chef to cook. Cook the food. Because the food is grown, and that's a cost that I don't have to incur, right? We bought all of our tables, all of our chairs, all the different types of decor. That's all stuff that we own. We can use it over and over again, right? Our expenses for a dinner are the chef and the promotions, and then maybe wine for the evening and other drinks like juice and stuff like that. You know, maybe ice. And
What about meat?
you know, we always do vegan dinners. Well, that's us. We always do vegan dinners. You know, just because I'm growing a ton of vegetables, and you know, you can't go wrong with a vegan dinner. Because some people don't eat meat, but everybody eats veggies.
Plus the caliber of people, like everyone is a representative of another company or school of thought or, you know, so now it's an investment with the people there also. Now you're establishing a relationship, but each person has other people that they're in charge of or, you know.
Connected to.
Yeah.
So the dinners are farm to table dinners can easily be $150 per seat, right? But we landed at $50 for it because we wanted to make it accessible to folks, and so like we never overdo $200 dinner. But if we wanted to do the $200 dinner, I wouldn't bat an eye. We did a racial equity dinner one year and gave tier-based ticketing system based on wealth disparities and like how people are categorized as far as race and like what's the differential between each community. And it was one of the most successful. We did that shit at Studio G3, but it was one of the most. We made the most money on the racial equity dinner because people understood it. And it made sense. Like, oh, okay, y'all basically, you know, set it up where this is what I would normally pay for a farm to table dinner anyway. But then we broke it down. But anyway, a dinner a week if we wanted to, because we have all the infrastructure. Put it in. So let's go back to the cost. We'll do this math real quick. All right. So 30 seats times 50, that's $1,500. Now I probably pay the chef $500 bucks. So that's about $1,000 that I would gross per dinner. You know what I mean? And if I did these, I don't know, so we got, let's see, I said we did them a week, so let's just say we did it 4 times a month times 3 months. $12,000. All for 3 months of us curating dinners on the farm, using chefs from our community, using produce that we grew in the dinners. And building community at the same time. So just the shit, usually when we do the dinners, we've had sometimes when we had servers and sometimes when we were having servers. Yeah, so what works best when people come to these type of dinners is like there's at least 1 or 2 people that are helping to serve.
And it's like, the spot where they just put the food
On the table.
Yeah, so we had, so,
Family style.
yeah, and you pass the plate,
Yeah.
and there's portions of it that would be like that. So, I give you that as just an ideation, you know what I mean? That's off a $50 dinner in 3 months if we did it once a week, you know what I mean? And that the energy for, the dinners is also kind of like the exclusivity of it because we only have 30 seats. You know what I'm saying? It's not like this is a mass situation. You know what I'm saying? It's one of a kind experience on the farm at dusk. You know, the lighting, the decorum, it sets the tone, it sets the stage. Great conversation. We usually bring somebody to perform, like either some spoken word, acoustic music, you know, and then the way we set it up is that we have people that we invite to be like our special guests. So it's like you're gonna be in a room with some unique people with some great conversation because we peppered the seating with people that we're like, yo, you know, this is a scholar from Southern Foodways, or this is somebody from a doula organization, or you know, da 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 da. These are people that you want to be in the room with. You know what I'm saying? And have a conversation. And then we would put, you know, little, well, my style has been, we put little conversation prompts on the table to help spur people get to know each other. And then to ice it all off, we do a tour of the farm, you know, while everything's getting set up as far as the food. It's a great night out. You know what I'm saying? For a family, like for a couple, something like that. You know what I mean? But that dinner energy falls under the category of agritourism. You know what I mean? So think about an up and coming chef not having a restaurant of his or her own, popping up as in the form of a dinner at your farm, right? That's dope as shit. Because you know, basically you're creating an experience that would be one of a kind at that space, and as this up and coming chef or whatever, they, you know, gangsta up, they're gonna be looking at you like, yo, I did some of my earliest dinners at this farm. Now this is somebody that, you know, I know I got a relationship with farmers that grow there. Now you should probably sell it to them when they get their spot. So it's all holistic when you're thinking about it. And that's kind of that's 9 ways that you can make money on your farm. At least 4 of them, or out of the 9, 4 of them relate specifically to the stuff that you grew on the farm.
But the remainder of them are things that are not what you had to grow. You didn't have to grow liquor produce in order to make some money.
From the chefs, do they typically come with like a price, or do you have like a budget, like, how does that work? How does that work?
It's a negotiation.
It's a negotiation.
It's every different folks got different prices.
Okay.
So I kind of like, the way I try to do it is, how much am I charging for the seat? You know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, well, okay, let me make sure that that's not over a third of what my gross revenue would be. You know what I mean? But the doper chefs, you're gonna pay more because they got other shit to be doing. You know what I'm saying? But a great entity to roll with is like caterers, people that are not tied down to a restaurant themselves. You know, the Facebook, Instagram, of chefs and shit. You're like, oh, you know, y'all doing some amazing dishes on the gram. You do this shit in real life. You know what I'm saying? Come over here, fuck with me. I got, you know, a 30-person dinner that I want you to cater for. And you're gonna use the produce from the farm as, you know, your floor. That's your ingredient, that's your palette that you created from.
Do you have one coming up, or?
We haven't done one. I haven't planned one yet for this season.
Because at Natural Dance, I work with Kendra, she's a vegan chef. She loves to be seen. She just went to Seattle to do like an event out there, she got flown out.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so I feel like she would love to be in that space. And I'm gonna let her know.
Hey, I haven't even planned one for this season. Time got away from us. But I think I want to do one before the summer is up. So, yeah. So, conversation, open, discussion, thoughts, feedback.
I have two questions for you. The first one is about capacity, because I hear starting, didn't get back to it, whatever. I don't like to do, well, I say this when I'm very busy, but I don't like to do too much. And so when I'm thinking about how many options we have, a lot of people see that and their eyes get big, right?
Yeah.
So what do you feel has been most sustainable, especially if you're thinking about like a newer farmer? What do you feel is most sustainable and also most profitable? Like it's worth that kind of effort of putting into, or maybe lays the groundwork for the rest of these ideas?
So I think for me, I started off doing the kind of the hybrid CSA, educational events, and dinners. Like that was in the beginning. That's all we really did. And it's still like I just haven't done a dinner this year, but every year for the last I don't even know how many years we've done Feast of Resistance. That's the name of the dinner series that we do. And it's always a hit. It sells out every time. You know what I'm saying? Because I do Happily Natural Day, of course I'm gonna talk about like workshops and educational events on the farm. Happily Natural Day is a form of agritourism. You know, at Happily Natural Day we make our money off of merchandise that we sell, off of produce. We might pull up with the watermelons, but then I also make money off of sponsorships and vendors that want to be in front of the audience that's coming to the festival. So for me, it's been like that combination of those two things. I try to put as many of those different things out there about how to make money because everybody's got You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I'll be off to the cut, and they talking, and they doing everything, and I'm like, I'm off to the side.
Yeah.
Because my people meeting and ran out. So I'm not gonna be always, I'm not built to be always on. You know what I mean? So some of the shit that require you to always be on for, I'm not interested in doing that shit because I know I'm gonna burn out doing the shit. You know what I mean? But the dinners are easy because they run themselves.
Right.
You know, like I don't have to entertain for the dinner. You know what I mean? I set the table, bring the people, we get somebody to perform, you know, get the chef. The chef is the star of the show for the night. With the CSA stuff, I'm working on my salesman, but I'm not really a great salesman because I'm very pragmatic. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, it is what it is. Like, it's delicious. I'm not gonna try to hype the shit up. I'm not gonna do all the dancing for it. I'm like, yo, bro, it's food. It's delicious. We grew, no pesticides, no herbicides. I can give you all the science behind this shit. Like,
Not you next to the rock.
Yeah, you gotta know you.
you know what I mean? Kaya is the you know, she can set the place. You know, like if she was like it was a department, like the department that does all the fucking show and shit, so all that stuff. That's Kaya. She fucking knows how to set it up and make it look beautiful. I'm like, it's there. It's there. You know what I mean? I gotta make it dress it a little bit up, but she can take that shit to a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? So that's why that's her job. So, you know, you gotta kind of know yourself when you're trying to figure out what ways you're gonna, you know, do. I will guarantee you that every way that I've talked to you about tonight will make you money. But it's all about you doing the proper planning. And then also matching what your persona is. And in all the cases, you're gonna have to go talk to people. And so if you're not a people person at all, it's gonna be difficult for you to farm. But that doesn't mean that you can't make money farming. You can find somebody, so let me back this out. There are people who come to this work just like I came to this work, as aggregators. They're not growers. They just buy from other farmers and then sell to other people. So, for my inception, my beginnings, my genesis in this shit, I didn't know how to grow shit. I was just buying from a farmer and reselling it. That's a whole, if I start farming today and just wanted to be an aggregator, there's money to be made in terms of being the middleman between the farmer and the consumer. You know? And as our organization like evolves across these different parts of the food system, the more and more I recognize like, yo, like I need somebody for every point. From the production, to the aggregation, to the innovation, to the distribution. So I got this acronym that I use, it's called PAID. How do you get paid in agriculture? So P is production, A is aggregation, I is innovation, D is distribution. There's a job in every one of those sections. There's a whole company in every one of those spaces.
Which they
Aggregation. Every one of those spaces is a whole company by itself. So the question for all of us is like, okay, well, what part of the system am I gonna be like, you know, is that gonna be my special move? It's like Thundercats. You know what I'm saying?
Voltron.
Yeah. Thundercats, like, Pantero was like the technical dude. Like, that was his bag. And Wildcat, it was gymnastics. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had their own specialty. You know what I mean? So in this farming shit, in this ag space, what's wild is that it's like the farmer has to know all the special moves in order for him really to be successful, but he can't really be successful because he's trying to do all of the special moves. Does that make sense? It's like I gotta do it all, but I can't really do it all enough. I gotta get other people to do other parts of the shit in order for us to really grow. You know, that brings it right back to the communal nature of all of this shit. Because there's no way I can do the production, aggregation, innovation, and distribution. Where the fuck do I sleep? You know what I mean? But as more and more people come in on the team and on the squad and we grow, more we get, like, as people learn these different aspects, then they can hyper specialize in these different areas. Because like I don't expect everybody. Kaya loves to farm with me, but she's better at the market shit. You know what I'm saying? While she loves to fuck with that, it's like, she understands her like sweet spot in the shit. It's like, I can get that shit organized. I can get these boxes distributed. I can get them all sifted and sorted and all that type of shit. In no time, I'll be back. We'll knock these joints out and I'll be right back. I can do that too, but I'd be tired. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I went and got the produce. I put it in the cooler. We didn't grew it. We harvested it. We cleaned it off, and now like I got to transport it from point A to point B. Tired. So I need somebody else to take that. You know what I mean? So that's I guess my point is, everybody gotta find what you're gonna be able to specialize in, and then that specialization also is connected to what you have time for, and also what you actually want to do. Because the last thing you want to do is be on a task that you know needs to get done, but you hate to do that shit. It's like, I know I gotta do this shit. I fucking hate it, but I gotta do it. So I'm gonna do it, and you're over there miserable because you know you gotta do it, but you know what I mean? You gotta be doing something else. So that's a big part of like the communal nature of this shit. It's like holding space for other people to collaborate with that can do the thing, and they love to do that shit. Like Bruno, he fucking love digging through the compost.
Smell the compost.
He is about that compost life. And he's with the shit. Literally with the shit. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot imagine myself going and doing composting every day. That shit is beyond me. But I know that is a critical part of what we gotta do. Like, I hate the fact that, like, I gotta even go over this. Okay. Lock in, you know what I mean? With my galoshes, like, if you ever see me coming to the garden with my galoshes.
So serious.
You know, I gotta fuck with the combos, bro. You know, and then also, like, with the cooking and stuff, like, it's like, I know I'm not a cook, I'm not a chef. But I know I need, like, chefs. I'm gonna go holler at my girl Reagan. Reagan got some passion, she loves to do that shit. And so let me pull her over here, and then, you know, that innovation part of the paid model is taken care of because I got somebody that specializes in that. So yeah, as one person, this shit is impossible. But in collaboration, all things are possible. So it's being mindful of what I'm good at and being humble in yourself. Being like, I'm not good at that, bro. Like, I'm actually don't have time for that, bro. If you want to do that shit, then please go for it. And I would love to pay you or figure out a way for you to get paid to do that thing that you came to do. Like, that energy is like, that's the tide that rises all boats. Because as we've gotten better at these different revenue generation models, like, now I can, like, focus on other shit. And since I run a nonprofit, now I can go out here and figure out how to get this contract to do the education couldn't get out of the weeds of the day-to-day operations to even imagine how I would scale my business up. And then I hate the shit. It was like, yeah, damn, I was so fucking bogged down, I couldn't fucking live. And that's not the way to go. So I want all of y'all to just think about, you know, this particular session tonight is just really about, what's your radical imagination and how you want your farm to set up? How you want your, everybody ain't gonna grow food. Shit, some of y'all might just grow herbs. But there's a whole, everything that we talked about tonight could be applied to a herb growing, a medicinal herb farm. Yeah. Some of y'all might just grow flowers. You know what I mean? But everything that we talked about tonight can be applied to just cut flowers. You know what I'm saying? It's like, figuring out what models work best for you. But there are, strategies for I don't want y'all to leave the fellowship and feel like, oh yeah, we talked about all this stuff, but we never really talked about how do we get to the money. That was so horrible. They came out the class and we talking about money. Oh, like that's it. Like, nah. There's a way. And let me be frank with y'all. I have a non-profit organization. Right? Keep it real. I get philanthropic investments. Okay? It's another source of revenue that I didn't even talk about tonight. But that is a way that I'm also handling my bottom line as an organization. Alright? And there's no reason for you to not think about the social justice aspect of you engaging with the earth. It's there's so much shit that's wrong with the planet. You know what I'm saying? So, if you want to tackle any of that, then there is space in this nonprofit ecosystem for you to do that too, right? But again, that's not everybody's bag. Some of us are LLC, corporation. I don't know anybody doing sole proprietorship nowadays, but I think the best of us, those are the folks that are the most savvy, are able to live in multiple worlds at once. Yeah, I might have a for-profit business, but I also respect the fact that there's social good to be done and that there's investors that are looking to invest in social good. And I don't have to have a B Corp to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? I might have a fiscal sponsorship with a nonprofit organization that allows me to live in these both worlds. So don't be afraid to metamorph and adapt to where you need to be in order for you to get the bread to do the thing that you came to do. For years, I think Havlin actually was an LLC and rocked out in that space all until 2020 when we said, all right, I've worked for other nonprofits and we've gotten them money. We can do this on our own. You know what I'm saying? So for the last 5 years, that's how we've been living it out. But even as we live that out, I'm still like, okay, how do we generate revenue? Because I'm not about to be reliant on somebody else's charitable goodness, generosity to make sure that my people get paid. That's a surefire way to get angrier at the world. I don't want to be in that position. So yeah, we're always trying to figure out what's the right balance. And as time has progressed, and I say this and I'll let y'all go, for the last 5 years, we've been using philanthropy to build the infrastructure so that we don't have to ask for another grant. or another donation. That's been the end game. It's like, how do I use these philanthropic investments to get the infrastructure in the space so that these spaces can generate revenue and support staff and support our programming without us having to be like, oh, we need another influx of funding. You know what I mean? And so we're not there yet, but I feel like we got that. We're on the arc to be there without having to, do anything strange for a piece of change.
I have a question about next week. When our graduation, is it just us? Can we invite like a person or two? Or like how does
You can invite your, feel free to invite friends.
Disney was coming.
Yeah.
Is he getting a certificate of graduation?
It's been working hard.
He's a mascot.
Oh, I did find it earlier. Okay, thank you. And also I want to say, the potluck, I brought labels so that if you know you want to bring something, or you're thinking about it, you're not really sure, like you can take a label too, however many things you're thinking about bringing, and then, so I'm
So
gonna
wait, tomorrow we only have one Saturday though, this coming?
We're still gonna do the final Saturday, which would be we'll graduate on